to all. Thank you all very much for coming. We will have a question and answer period after this presentation, so please stick around for that. I think, Karen, if you are going to speak, there's a podium in the center aisle, and there are some sign-up sheets there so we can get you on record. So again, good morning. I'm going to talk today a little bit about our mid-year report when it comes to the recreation centers of Sun City West. A couple of items we're going to focus on are going to be a little bit of a staff recruitment and retention programs that we've got built, our expense savings, the investment portfolio. We'll talk a little bit about membership and our CC&R program, how we're doing with chartered clubs and their rosters, and the big project up ahead of us is the Grandview Irrigation Project, how we're dealing with T-sheets and off-peak hours as far as our golf course revenue goes, a little CIP update, and how we're coordinating a lot of our entertainment. So I do want to touch base a little bit. The folks up front are our management team. There has been some changes made. New HR director, Kirsten, is here today. Thank you very much. And then there is a little misspelling underlined red word under Cliff Swan. That is not a mistake. That's there for a reason. Cliff does have one F in his last name and two N's in his last. I don't know if it was the people building birth certificates at the time with a typo, but there you go. Todd Patty not here today. He is snowed in Colorado. Went up for a long weekend to do some family outings and has not made it out of the snow yet. Hopefully he'll be here tomorrow. Yes, Cliff is here. Mr. Boston and Carl Wilhelm are sharing the facility maintenance and facility operations tasks now. A little bit of a change, kind of mirroring what we do with Todd and Pat relative to our environmental services and maintenance and our golf course operations. Katie O'Grady, again, oversees all of our IT and our media, as well as our library. And Casey is overseeing all of our clubs, special events, and scheduling now. So when it comes to staff recruitment and retention, this is not a unique situation that we bear as far as trying to find people and retaining people to work here in Sun City West. It's an interesting task, but it really is affecting everyone, I think, regionally and nationally, actually. But attracting people and rewarding them and doing all the training and motivating them to be here is a real task. And we do have a lot of employees, and we do everything we can to get good people in the right spots, and we do a pretty good job, I think, in people managing. So some of the measures we've taken as far as helping us fill some of these spots is really do a good labor and market analysis. We kind of know where people come from. Word of mouth still is a huge asset to us. People knowing people, looking for employment, and well over half of our staff are actual owner-member residents. But the skill sets that we have are very, very wide. We try to put people in positions that can benefit us with the skill sets that we deal with. Wages are a big part of what we do as far as our expenses go, and an increase in the minimum wage was approved and took place January 1, so we're moving forward there. But as far as our competitive benefits go, I think it's a very, very healthy program that we offer. So it's a good lure. It's a good, attractive piece of material that we have, bringing people in and hopefully retaining them. But 85% of the healthcare premium is picked up by the rec centers of Sun City West. We've added a Veterans Day as a paid holiday this year. And then we changed our time of vesting and enrollment enhancements with our 401k program. And again, recruiting efforts, utilizing various online platforms and getting the word out as to who we are, where we are, and what we do. And then we also implemented a referral bonus for individuals who know people, and if we can get them to come and apply and get hired and selected here, we do provide that referral bonus to those employees. But as we sit, this is kind of where we're at, but this moves every day. But when we talk about our budgeted seats, there's been some confusion and kind of comments recently about FTEs and how those are calculated. But in a simple way, Cliff and his team and HR have put together what we consider and how we deal with seats. So we know who we need and we know where we need them based on the hours of operation that we have. Our staff show up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they work throughout the evening. Our facilities do close at 9, but we have maintenance folks working long after that, cleaning and doing those types of things. So it's a very long day. Three shifts, 4 shifts, and it requires people. That's what we are in the business of. We are a community service function operating 4 recreation centers, 7 golf courses, and everything else that we do is done by people. And so when it comes to our full-time budgeted seats, 202 of those positions, and we have 183 of those currently filled, and 19 vacant. The vast majority of those vacant seats are in the outdoor world, be it facility maintenance, landscaping maintenance on the environmental services side in Todd's world, as well as people working on golf courses. Those are by far the biggest numbers of the vacancies that we do have. I know Carl, in his new position, is in the process of bringing in a lot of people working at the recreation centers as well. And there is a little deficiency there when it comes to making sure our seats are filled. And the same thing goes with part-time. But part-time labor is somewhat seasonal, right? So we do close golf courses in the summertime. Those kinds of positions kind of move around. But that is still something that we really take seriously. And we need to make sure that these seats are filled. So I was going to dress like this guy today. But this is a challenge, right? So we'll talk a little bit about expense savings. We're halfway through the year. This is a mid-year report. And I think I was talking with Pete Finelli earlier today and Cliff, and if we were to close the books today on a fiscal year, I think we'd be break even, which is a very, very good sign. I think we're in good shape. From a financial perspective, our revenues are looking good, but we still have 6 months to go. And in that 6-month period, what we're seeing now is a little bit of deficiency when it comes to home sales and the APF fees that come in to help fund some of our larger capital projects, particularly new ones. So we're seeing a little deficiency there. But where do we go, right? What can we do as far as our savings go? And we hear this story all the time. The vast majority of our expenses coming out of our doors pay for people. And the second portion of that program is our utility expenses, right? When it comes to water, when it comes to electricity and those types of things, all of those types of utilities, electricity and that, those are our 2 biggest ticks. We don't really have a lot of control there based on the fact that the hours in which we operate and the number of people that we do have serving the folks. Everything we buy now, from eggs to milk to everything else, costs more. We deal with that. So anything that ends in the word GEN, right, or INE, chemicals, cost more. That is a fact. So from chlorine to nitrogen to all of our fertilizers, power and gasoline, those things really take a hit when it comes to our operations. We're cognizant of that, yet I think we've stayed the line, and I think we do very, very well providing the services that we do provide. Other golf courses have changed. They did not overseed, not us, but there are people within our region that we study. How are they doing? They've gone to paint. They've painted their winter grass instead of growing grass. Go take a look at that and ask yourself if you like it. When you get home, you have nice green shoes. Your golf ball turns green. And it looks nice from afar, but from a playing conditions perspective, I play here. And so those kinds of things all come into play. Nitrogen, 81% higher than last year. Any kind of fertilizer that we buy, we see a large, tremendous increase in cost. Same thing with our grass seed. You all know that story. It's up $300,000. But again, the governing board has supported us moving forward, making sure these venues are in good shape because it does have a huge effect on your property value and the community at large. So when it comes to savings, golf's an interesting game. So the last month or so, we've seen a few clouds like this kind of coming over us, right? Provided us a couple inches of rain. And when it comes to irrigating golf courses, we haven't turned our pumps on. I think, and Todd's not here, but I don't think we've turned our pumps on to irrigate our golf courses now for over 20 some odd days. That's good. That's very expensive to do. Flip a switch, water comes out of the ground, goes into our lakes, we irrigate. That all happens with electricity. right, and a sprinkler system. If we don't have to turn on those pumps, we save money. The downside is when the sky looks like that on the left, people don't golf. So we save money and lose money at the same time. Hence, the monopoly guy with his pockets inside out, and he's going like, where do I save? So it's a game, but this is what we do, and we kind of hope that we can continue doing what we're doing, because like I said, if we close the books now, we're in really, really good shape. And the golf numbers are up. So when it comes to additional revenues, the Arizona Department of Tourism had a grant program that goes towards water conservation and turf removal. We've identified 4 golf courses that have what we would consider maybe wall-to-wall turf, as opposed to a lot of desert landscaping and that along property lines and that type of thing. So when we move forward to renovate some of these golf courses, starting with Grandview, we've got a $105,000 grant per course to help us in that measure. So we want to thank the state of Arizona and all the tourism dollars that do come through, creating billions of dollars in revenue from golf. So that's great. When it comes to our operating cash investment, Mr. Finelli's focusing on this area these days, as well as our reserve fund and our capital spending. So when it comes to savings, this is what we're really kind of digging in deep and getting our heels into, right? But Pete recently took some operating cash available to us, invested in some treasury bills, and we've jumped a little bit as far as our earnings go, as far as what we were getting to where we are now. And again, more money to us with a pretty wise move with Pete and our folks over at Cap Trust. So when it comes to our investments, this is, again, something that Pete is really kind of focusing in on now. Yes, we did see a decline in the second quarter in 2022, and then we rebounded a little bit. But where we sit, and I don't know, I'm not on the computer to make that slide a little bigger, but where you can see back in July of 22, we were about 28 million in reserve, and we did drop to about 27.5. What this graph does not show is last week when we implemented the $3.2 million infusion from our end of year for last year. That's not reflected in there. So we are up to about a $30 million reserve. So that's a very, very positive sign, right? Now, again, that is a little bit of a buffer for us. So at the end of the year, depending on where we're at, we'll see. We may have to tap into that a little bit to balance our books, but we're hoping not. And we hope to be moving in a really good direction. So let me talk a little bit about membership and CC&Rs. Not a whole lot of change here, really. We're still dealing with a vast majority of owner members using our facilities and the homes here. A little bit of a bump in associate members, and tenants are sitting where they are. I got a slide coming up that kind of depicts a little bit of the tenant revenue and guests. And with the Super Bowl, spring training, those types of things coming around the corner, will we see a spike? We don't know, but we're hoping yes. So again, with the changeover from the Village store, we actually now have a very decent office for the CC&R program, as well as our property title analysis to work out of. It's a very, very busy facility. In the past, these folks were working, once we took this program back over from PORA, these individuals were working in like the back closet of the social hall. And it's kind of the same amount of activity coming in, but we're bringing people into the kind of the bowels of our facility and really not where it needed to be. This is a major league improvement. And I want to thank Riley and his team for all that they do over there. But on a monthly average, doing about 54 walk-ins in a month. If you times that by 12, that's sizable. All the property visits that they do, the emails, and as far as all the incoming phone calls dealing with HOAs and CC&Rs. Pretty impressive. Again, this is a little graph I was talking about when it comes to tenant revenues. And these are, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars to us, which is very, very good. You can kind of see the COVID crevice that we call it, but we have rebounded a little bit from that. And we'll see what happens come February, March, as far as home rentals go and what the Super Bowl and those types of activities kind of bring to us. It'll be kind of an interesting check for us. When it comes to chartered clubs, we've been through a lot in the last year and a half, and moving forward, I think we're sitting pretty good. 94 clubs currently exist in these 8 categories. We've had a couple of clubs merge, both dealing with cards, but 87 of the clubs are 501c7 social clubs, exactly where they need to be, doing what they like to do and having a good time. We have one social welfare club, the Theater Council, that's been around since the 90s, that has been a 501c4, and we've had 6 clubs convert over to charitable clubs, be it 501c3 tax status. So not only do the members still have an opportunity to enjoy the activities taking place in these particular clubs, but they also do tremendous charitable work inside and outside the community. So very nice there, and very well cleaned up and buttoned up and put together, and I want to thank Casey for all the work that you've put into that. But when it comes to space allocation, where are we? There are clubs that are gaining a lot of membership quickly. Zymergy's one. There are certain facilities around that we have to worry about space. That's always been an issue ever since I've been here, space allocation and where can we put people. And so we have 28 dedicated venues for clubs inside our buildings based on the chartered club rules. If you do qualify for a charter club, we do provide you space. 44 clubs share space. So 28 are actual dedicated single item rooms. 44 clubs share space. We have 8 outdoor sports groups and 16 golf course clubs. So pretty healthy, but again, when it comes to indoor space, that is something, again, that we're looking at and hope to address and get answers to when we complete the end of this fiscal year with our budget request as well as our master plan update. So when it comes to capital improvements and all the work that Carl and his teams do and work on, and Russ, as far as all the renovations that take place, all the repairs and replacements that we do, and what we do to help conserve energy. A couple of good highlights in here, at least for the first 6 months. I will say Carl's been busy. Of the 39 facility projects that we have budgeted this year, Carl's completed 32 of the 39. So a good opening for Carl to help us now oversee facility operations. We've got a few projects left that we're kind of taking a good hard look at as we move forward. But again, what was an open air venue here at the Beardsley Recreation Center is now enclosed, air conditioned, and a very nice, enjoyable spot, right? It's got new pool and spa decor going throughout the facility, lighting upgrades, improvements to the clay club, and also a storage facility. So a nice shot in the arm for Beardsley. It was well overdue, but I think it's looking very, very nice. Still have an issue with sound. Everybody keeps screaming about that, but it's a concrete box. And so that's a little bit of a tough handle, but we're working on it. Repair and replacement of our parking lots, asphalt, and those types of things, that continues. These are 40-year-old pieces of asphalt. Carl never knows what he's going to find underneath. It's always worth a good story or two. But Riley really has the best stories of what you find, but we won't go there yet. But again, 14 golf buildings, roof restorations taken place, 3 recreation facility roof restorations have taken place. So again, been very, very busy taking care of our facilities. And I would challenge anyone moving in here who is new to tell us how old these facilities are. They are kept up very, very well. And as far as energy conservation goes, we've got a new lighting system. Interior lighting, anyway, at R.H. Johnson was completed, and then the mini golf course has all new LED fixtures, which really, really eliminate the spillage. The red boxes on this particular slide show a couple of older lights that had yet been replaced, so you can see what the old kind of spillage on those lights look like compared to how that facility is looking now. And it does save us 40% in our reduction in our electrical cost in operating that. So there's a same picture, but just looking straight down at it. So you can see where the old lights were and kind of how dim that area is compared with the new LED lights. So very, very nice. It provides a great surface all the way around that facility. It's dark. And so we're not really shining a bunch of light into people's homes and brightening up the facility, but where we need light, we've got it. And again, we save a lot of money doing that. This is the big one coming up within the next 6 months. Again, Mr. Finelli is going to be working very diligently with our construction project manager and Gary Brawley. A lot of savings have already taken place on the installation of pumps. We're very happy with that. But as we move forward to the installation of pipe and boring underneath roads to get this irrigation system repaired and replaced, we hope to find additional savings in the $6.5 million that's going to roll across Pete's desk over the next 6 months. So again, we talked about the grant that we got from tourism. If there's any other opportunities out there, we will certainly take advantage of that, and we keep looking. But as far as the construction schedule goes, there are 9 road crossings that the irrigation system goes through on Grandview. So there will be road borings underneath the roads beginning in March and get the main line across. The back 9 will close in April, so Grandview will be a 9-hole course for a couple of months. All the other facilities, be it the driving range, putting green, the lab, and the restaurant, will remain open. And then, like we typically do in the summer months, we typically have 2 golf courses closed for repair, and this will be one of them this year. And so at the end of the month, the entire course closes in May, and then we're scheduled to reopen in late October with a brand new irrigation system that, again, will have about 40 acres of turf removed, landscaping put in. It'll look very, very nice, and it'll be very more efficient when it comes to throwing water and how we do that, getting ready for the mandates that are coming out of the state of Arizona scheduled for 2025. So we are ahead of the game there. We're in very good shape moving forward. So when it comes to our tee sheets and our peak hour usage, we're busy, particularly this time of year. And so there's a couple of things that have come up when we talk about our tee sheets and how we use that, is that what we don't want to see, we'd like to see every line on that tee sheet have a color in it, right? We don't like to see those open white gaps. But what we have is a fee sheet that the governing board approves based on recommendation from our golf board that we're currently working with them on to kind of see if there is anything we can do to give our golf team any kind of enhancements or incentives to fill those gaps. And so right now, if you golf in the morning, you pay a certain rate. And then a certain time of the day, a twilight rate appears. But if you're 45 minutes before that twilight rate, there's no incentive for you to go golf early while the course is wide open. You're waiting for that discounted rate. And that is silly. We should get people out there or being able to provide a little bit of an option as opposed to a firm fixed rate. And that's what we're trying to do with some incentives. So if anything from a free meal or a 2-for-1, free range balls, those types of things, you know, pay now or you get a discounted rate on the weekend. But we think that giving our golf staff a little bit of latitude when it comes to helping us fill those spots will help us in the world of revenue generation. So when it comes to entertainment and coordination, again, Casey's team does a terrific job doing what they do. A lot of our facilities and our events sell out and sell out quickly. And the folks that are buying those, we get sometimes comments that, you know, outside folks are coming in and buying our tickets, and that's really not the case. These sold out venues really have been our Sun City West residents, all except for one concert in the park. So that's kind of a good thing. They're very well entertained, and the quality of the entertainment is very, very good. But we do have a radius clause that is and has been in place for a while. So when we do book a performer, we negotiate with them so that they're not doing similar appearances within a 60-day window of us, so that there's not a lot of duplication of service. We try to work with the clubs that book entertainment as well, and try to make that as more of an enjoyable experience for any and all who are excited to go to some of these outdoor events. But a new big festival, Casey is in the works of planning, scheduled for 2024 is in the works, and as well as more activities with food trucks and those types of events coming to our facilities. So very, very good. More dive-in movies that are replacing some movies in the park, and we'll reinstitute the Happy Camps in 2024. So overall, I think it's a really well-attended and well-put-together recreation program that we continue to have. And then moving forward in the next 6 months, working on our presentation for the upcoming budget, again, is the finalization of our master plan update. Now that we have our winter visitors back, a few more public meetings will be held that we can talk about some of these issues moving forward and assemble ourselves a nice master plan moving forward. But the big issues at hand, again, water regulations, make sure everybody's aware of what we're doing when it comes to how much water we're going to be allowed to throw and where. That all changes in 2025 moving forward. From an IT perspective, the advancements made within that department, and also looking at additional staff as far as management in that area goes. Where are we going? This is something in the world that is never going to go away, only improving. And so how can we do that? The Budget and Finance Committee the other day was talking about bank fees and how we deal with that. It's a very great service that we offer. It's reality. It's the way of the world. I don't know how many people pay with cash anymore. You go to any kind of sporting event, whether it's a football game, baseball game, they don't take cash, right? You can't pay with cash. It's like, really? And so anyway, people are paying by phones, by credit cards, and that kind of thing. However, you might be a little taken back to know that we pay over $500,000 a year in bank fees to use that type of activity. So how do we make that better? How can we provide services to our owner members? Maybe pay with your owner member card. If you were to load that up with some cash and use that, that would help us, it would help you. But those types of things are some of the things that we want to talk about in the IT world and finance moving forward with our master plan update. Again, the efficiencies on space utilization, who's using what and where. Our recent camera installation over at our tennis facility is telling us who's using those tennis courts kind of when, how much space we have over there for future use, long-term planning, and how we're going as far as that goes. Pickleball continues to be one of those clubs that is growing exponentially, not only here in Sun City West, but nationally. It's the #1 sport in America as far as people playing now. It's amazing. And then how we deal with casual dining. What's available, what's coming up down the line, moving forward. I know there's a lot of interest in the BMOS contract that comes up at the end of August in 2024. Same thing with the Lizard Acres Pub. Any kind of expansion opportunities there to provide a little more casual dining opportunity here locally, as well as developments taking place at the Hillcrest Golf Course, as well as Briarwood. And then anything else along the line that can kind of come in commercially would certainly help. But there is, I think, an outcry and a need for casual dining. And so moving forward, take the next 6 months, and we hope, again, to do our best in looking at any kind of savings that we can come up with moving forward, and continue to make Sun City West the fine place that it is. And this concludes my presentation. We've got staff at the table if you have any questions at all. Again, I think, Karen, you have some sign-up sheets at the podium. Anybody wants to speak, please use the podium at the center of the room. And thank you very much for your time.
Got it. Thank you. Now that I'm up here, I've forgotten what I wanted to ask you about, Bill. You're gonna have to give me a minute now.
Okay. You can ask Riley to tell you a story or two about CCNRs.
That's okay, I remembered. I'm just wondering, I know that you're looking for a lot of people, and I don't know how competitive our wage is with others. I'm wondering if you review the talents of people that you've had for a while when they're looking for other employment because of wages. Are we going to be working a little more at trying to meet what their needs are? if they've got the talents.
Yes, and Kirsten, you want to take a stab at that?
Sure.
Please, thank you.
So,
Is that on?
anytime that we have employees that are currently employed, and I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
So we definitely have salary surveys that we participate in annually, or we go out and see if we can't mine that information from someplace else to see what those like positions are covering in, you know, surrounding areas. And then we do have bands that we put each of our job groups in, or specific jobs, so that we know where they likely sit. And if people have other talents, we certainly are open to having them apply for other jobs and doing other things. So we definitely encourage that. And we do a merit increase and annual review process that we have. Each supervisor looks at every single employee individually, goes through suggestions and maybe needs that they have, give them a score, and then there is a corresponding increase on their wages at that point.
Very good. So do you have regular job descriptions for the different types of employees you have, say for IT or maintenance or whatever it would be, and then that's the band that you're talking about? You're looking across the nation, or at least the state, and seeing where that fits. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. We definitely have job descriptions for every position that we have, and as we're opening new jobs or looking to bolster those skill sets, we're looking at those job descriptions to make sure that they are current, and again, looking at surrounding areas for likely situated positions.
Okay.
I would like to just follow up a little bit on that, and I don't want to put Katie on the spot, but in our most recent boots on the ground experience, Katie's trying to fill a webmaster position, and go ahead and share your what we learned there.
Yeah, so one of those vacancies that he showed up there is one of my positions, and I've interviewed probably 10 or 12 people. The one we finally found that was qualified, we made an offer to, and she had another job for $20,000 more than we were offering. And then I had another vacancy that's since been filled. I lost that person for a $10,000 increase somewhere else outside the organization. So it's, at least in IT, it's a struggle.
It is a struggle. It's a challenge. I've worked with some IT departments in the past, and there are some things that are worth being maybe more than competitive in, and our IT really could use the boost, and $10,000, in my opinion, would have been a drop in the bucket for having some talent. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't give my name. Lynn Kellis, 129120.
Tom Jones, 110-390. I'm the president of the Automotive Restoration Club, and I just wanted to remind you that February 11th, coming up shortly, we're having our car show, and at that car show, we have a 2011 Camaro convertible. We're selling raffle tickets. Tickets are $20 each, or 6 for $100. You heard my spiel in the past, so I'm probably talking to everybody who's got at least $100 worth of tickets, right? Shake your head if you've gotten tickets. What? Okay. But we welcome the opportunity to put on this show. I think it's a successful show, and it helps us pay down our building debt. So thank you very much.
Do you have any tickets with you?
I don't have any tickets with me, but if you want to follow me over to the building, we'll sell you tickets. And if you contact me, I will bring them to you and have you make the purchase accordingly. Thank you. Sorry I missed a chance.
I know where you are.
Dennis Hansel, 111074. I have a comment. In the fall of 2021, the recreation centers of Sun City West invested a total of $31 million of its reserve funds. By the end of the fiscal year on June 30th, 2022, there was an unrecognized loss of $4.8 million. The investments made put the principal at risk, which was contrary to the association's policy, which stated, and I quote, "Preservation of capital is the foremost objective of the investment portfolio," unquote, end of quote. The policy was put in place in November of 2020 while Mr. Schwind was the general manager. In October of 2022, at a Budget and Finance Committee meeting, General Manager Schwind made a statement that other nonprofit organizations did not risk their reserve funds by investing them. Mr. Schwind could have made this statement in September of 2021 at the time the investments were made. Our policy mandates that the board's Budget and Finance Committee monitor the reserve funds invested. We can and we should question the wisdom of the Budget and Finance Committee and the board for not understanding that the investment decisions made placed our capital at an unnecessary risk and were made contrary to the intent of our policy. Mr. Schwind is entrusted with carrying out the policy, and he too failed us. Mr. Schwind can say that it is not his responsibility to make or monitor investments of the reserve funds, but this is not the leadership we expect from a general manager. Residents of a senior community, including our board and committee members, are retired. Committee members are volunteers who serve one-year terms. The only entity that monitors association activities continually is the general manager. Monitoring our $31 million investment should have been a high priority for the general manager. I addressed my concern about our investments not being made in accordance with the policy to Board President Hurley. Hurley said he was not going to place me on the Budget and Finance Committee. I did not ask to be placed on the committee, but I recommended 3 people, including resident Kevin Brucker, who we will hear from this morning. And I think Kevin's going to speak right now.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Brooker. My member number is 132101. And I've worked as an investment counselor for over 30 years. I'm a registered investment advisor. I continue to work. I have several securities licenses, including the 7, 24, 63, and 65. And I've reviewed the policy FI-12, the investment policy statement, and it prioritized that there was preservation of capital, which includes prevention of loss. Avoiding a loss is key to preservation of capital. And I've heard the discussions of the committee in the past as to whether the composition should be 80-20 or 90-10. And the parties making this statement are, I believe, missing the point. Because the question, the most important factor, is to determine what specific securities should be purchased with the 80 or 90%. In my opinion, ETFs, exchange-traded funds, since they don't guarantee principal, should not be the majority of the portfolio, which I believe is 45%, unless there's changes that have been made since the last statement that I reviewed. So at the point the investment was made in September of 21, the goal was to preserve the capital, not to build it. I'm concerned about future losses. The investments made, in my opinion, took on unnecessary risk and were outside the realm of preservation of capital, if that's truly the objective. Or the objective should be changed. Because it obviously, with the loss that we've incurred or that we've seen so far, they are not the type of investments to preserve the capital. My concern now is we've got a national debt ceiling, that we just hit the debt ceiling. We've got a lot of members in Congress who are going to be fighting to avoid raising that limit. If that happens, if they push it too far, chances are creditors are going to demand a higher interest rate from the U.S., especially if we get to the point that they're talking about default. And if that happens, these aggregate bond funds are going to lose more money. And my suggestion, like you cited earlier, how Finelli had bought some T-bonds, T-bills at 4%, 4.25%. That rate, in my opinion, is going to exceed the rate you're going to get on the aggregate bond funds. Ag bonds in the last decade have barely made 3%. You can get a guarantee right now, 4, 4.5, 4.75 in a bank CD from CIT Bank. So I would just like to see a lessening of the risk that the reserve fund is taking. The issue right now, of course, is what can be done today. I've talked with Dennis Hansel, who's made a similar assessment. Obviously, we need to know cash flow needs first to determine what the investments will be. But it's going to impact the portfolio going forward. And if this debt ceiling issue goes too far, or if interest rates start to rise, then that's going to result in further losses in these ag bond funds. So I would just simply like you guys to discuss moving some of the ag bond funds into guaranteed investments like short-term T-bills and bank CDs so that we could lessen the risk and adhere to the goal, the foremost goal of preservation of capital. All right, thank you.
With no further questions, we will call this a day, and thank you all again for your comments and your attendance. Thank you much.